I'm Still Here, Hollywood, and coming up on today's episode, well, it's been a year now of me sitting in this yellow chair pulling out untold stories from the stars in Hollywood. But before we start year 2 of Still Here, Hollywood, we want to show you a few highlights from our most written about episodes. This is Still Here, Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me today with some of our favorite guests as they reveal the secrets that top magazines, newspapers, and websites have grabbed and run away with over the last year. Now it's on to year 2 of Still Here Hollywood. If you'd like to be more involved with us at Still Here Hollywood, you definitely can. Just visit patreon.com/stillherehollywood. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. You can get our episodes a day before they post anywhere else. You can see what guests will be coming up and submit questions for them. You can even tell us what stars you want us to have on as guests. You'll see what goes on before and after the episode, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes info, pics, video, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/stillherehollywood. From Clueless, Breckin Meyer.
Brittany Murphy was one of the greatest people I know, and I knew Britt way before Clueless. We played boyfriend and girlfriend, I think, 4 times before Clueless. So when we auditioned together, it was like, oh, this is easy. And then Britt and I did King of the Hill together for 8 years. And then I took over for a role she did, not when she passed away, before that, like the character's voice changed and I took over, but she was still Luann on King of the Hill. So I see, after Clueless, Brittany and I worked together for another 8 years. And she was, Britt passed away as an adult, but she's one of those people who I always think about. I wish I could see what she would have done now, because again, Brittany was so crazy talented and only the surface had been dealt with. Like she was such a good singer, and seeing how many people now cross over into music and movies, I was like, oh, I would have loved to have seen Brittany do that.
Did her death hit you hard?
Yeah, it sucked. It was it was really bad. I wish I could say I was more surprised when it happened, just because of that. It's her business, whatever. But that toxic guy she was with, Simon, was just a fucker. And so I knew Britt before, I knew during, and then when she passed away. And it was the amount of things that it's a small world. Philippi Ryan, who was a very close friend of mine, lived 5 houses from Brittany. So literally we were there when the sirens were going on, and we didn't know what it was. But we were hanging at Phil's house when the sirens are going up to, I think it was Britney Spears' old house, Brittany Murphy's new house. When we all heard it was terrible. I mean, Brittany she was a bottle of soda. She was the sun. She was so effervescent and great. And for her to pass away like that, and in such a shitty way and in such a toxic relationship, it just was terrible. It was not only because you're a friend, but because of what everyone else doesn't get to see anymore. But yeah, that sucked in the same way. Yeah, it was terrible.
Actor Penelope Ann Miller. And then you have an Arnold Schwarzenegger who loves the limelight.
Yeah, he's a big prankster. Yeah, I got my first car that I'd ever bought new. I bought on Kindergarten Cop, and I had it delivered to the set, and we were filming at Universal in the Valley, and I got this shiny red BMW, and I said, oh, here's my car. You want to come out and look at my car? And it was by my trailer, and our trailers were across from each other, and he's like, this is new? And I was like, yes, it's new. I just got it. He's like, I don't know, Penelope. I'm not doing exact it right, Penelope. And he started going around the car looking underneath it. I said, but the odometer is like 000 point whatever, 1 to 2 or something like that. He goes, they change that all the time. They just put it back. It could have had a lot of miles on it and everything. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like they sold me a used car. They've lied to me. And I'm about to go run in and call the dealer to say, like, Schwarzenegger's telling me he sold me a used car. And then he's like, Penelope, you're so gullible. So, I mean, he would do things like that. Like he was constantly joking around, and he seems to, love being on set and love having a good time.
Isaac from A Love Boat, Ted Lange. What was your worst experience with a guest star?
Worst experience is after Gavin told us to go up to the guest star, shake their hands, and welcome them to the show. I went up to a guest star. I said, hey, my name is Ted Lange. Welcome to the show. And he went like this. And walked away. Well, who does that to anybody? Who does that to anybody? But I had on my little red jacket. There's a couple of other guys with red jackets. I guess he thought I was an extra. And even if he did, why would you do that to an extra? Right? So about a half hour later, he comes up with the director. And he says, Ted, I want to introduce you to your scene partner here, so-and-so, so-and-so. And the guy looks, nice to meet you. I went, yeah. And this guy was a fairly big guy and he used to have a golf and tennis thing.
Tournament.
And every year he would invite me. But I already know who you are. Why would I go?
Yeah.
I know who you are.
You want to let us in on who it was?
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay, I thought I'd give it a shot. Did you have any favorite guest stars who appeared on the Love Boat?
Oh, God, yes. Yes, Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly appeared on our show, and the Monkey Monk said, don't talk to Gene. He's a grumpy guy. Okay, so just leave him alone. When you do your scenes, fine, but don't talk to Gene. And so we all said, okay, yeah, fine. So we were in Hong Kong, and we're sitting in a little van, and we're waiting. I'm waiting to shoot a scene with Gene Kelly. So he's sitting there. He's reading a magazine, and he wore contacts and glasses. Okay, so he's sitting there, and he's reading. And I said, screw this. I'm going to go talk to Gene Kelly. So I go. He's sitting in one chair, and I sit across the room. I go, hi. And he's reading, and he looks up at me, and he goes back to reading. I said, can I ask you a question? You can see him go, what? I said, what was it like dancing with the Nicholas brothers? Now, for your audience that don't know who they are, they're two black tap dancers out of the Cotton Club back at Harlem Renaissance. And Gene put them in his movies. So
they did some wonderful numbers together.
Oh, my God, they were incredible dancers. So he did like this. You want to know about the Nicholas brothers? And I said, yeah. So he told me this wonderful story about the Nicholas brothers. And then they call us on the set. We go on the set. We do a scene together. Then we're done, and we go back to the bus, the little bus. He says, hey, you want to have a drink with me at the hotel? I said, yeah, sure.
Do I?
Do I? And so I hooked up with him after we'd finished our day's work. I hooked up with him, sat down in the hotel, and he was wonderful. It was totally different. And then on reflection, I said, I bet everybody, when they get a chance to talk to him, talks about Singing in the Rain. I had no interest in Singing in the Rain because I knew the Nicholas brothers, So it was great.
Well, also, it would be, I don't know what I would do if I was put in that situation and then told, you can't talk to this person about whatever.
Yeah.
Because, sitting across from Gene Kelly, you'd have a million questions to ask about. Who else besides Gene Kelly?
Oh, Diane Carroll. I kissed Diane Carroll. I'm sorry, Mary. That's my wife. I kissed Diane Carroll about 15 times before she realized I was messing up on purpose. So then she said, hey, cut that out. I said, okay, I'm sorry. You're just so beautiful.
She was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen.
Oh, man.
Drop dead, stop
Gorgeous.
you in your tracks. Yeah.
And she could kiss.
That I never learned.
That's my claim to fame is, and she could kiss. So yeah, it was fun. So she was a delight.
Ted, one of the other things that really caught my attention when I was doing my research on you was something you did with Jenna Jameson.
Yes. One of my fun things I did with Jenna Jameson.
Jenna Jameson, for those who may not know, I used to run into Jenna every year at the Cannes Film Festival because
did
she was
you?
she was there selling her wares.
Yes.
I mean, professionally.
Yeah.
But she was a very well-known and very well-liked adult film star.
Yes.
And you did.
Some people say pornographic, but adult will work.
Adult sounds much nicer. You did a sex and advice column with her.
Yes. Yes.
Called Ask Isaac?
Yes.
Why Ask Isaac?
Because I was the bartender, and from the television show Love Boat, people would come into the bar and they'd ask Isaac, "Hey, Isaac, I got it done, the bone. And I would say, "Hey, do this." Now, what I did, my goal was to make sure, it was a men's magazine, first of all. So you got young men reading the magazine. So my goal was, first of all, to make sure if they were having sex, that it was protected sex. So I was a big advocate for condoms. And then I tried to add humor into the advice. So whatever you said, I was looking for the joke. Whatever the question was, I was looking for the joke. So I did that for a couple of years, and they would fly me into New York. And not with Jenna, because what happened is Jenna's things, I said, what happened to Jenna Jameson? Because they let her go, and they got Beth Ostrovsky, who was Howard Stern's wife now. But back then she was dating Howard Stern. So they got her, Beth, to take Jenna's place, because Jenna, everything she did, she would turn it around, and if it was a question where she could hit on a girl, she would hit on the girl and say, "And if that doesn't work, call me," you know. So I think every once in a while, Beth used a Howard Stern joke, because Beth is much younger than Howard, and it was a joke I would have made, being of a certain age bracket, and but Beth, and so I said, "How did you meet Howard? So she told me the story, but that happened for a while. I would fly in to New York. They'd put me up, and they'd take pictures of me with a sailor cap and a pipe, a la Hugh Hefner, and I would take pictures, and Beth would be in a nightie of some kind, and she was gorgeous. Almost as pretty as my wife. But
Nice save, Ted.
Yeah,
nice save.
Thank you. But yeah, I did do that for a while. But my main goal was condoms and humor. If I could work those two things in the answer, then we were doing all right.
Condoms can be pretty funny. Dr. Carter from ER, Noah Wyle. A lot of people who were in the cast and associated with the program spun off into other things. Perhaps most notably, George Clooney.
Yes, Mr. Clooney's done quite well for himself.
Yes, he has.
Liquor business, I believe.
Among other things. He likes to play practical jokes on people. Did he ever do anything like that to you?
Well,
He's a jokester.
I sort of pegged him early as one to watch, and made sure that I was more of an accomplice than a victim. And that's best served by not leaving the table first. Whoever leaves the table first, inevitably George would go, "You know what we should do?" So even if you have to use the bathroom, you hold it. You hold it until somebody else gets up.
Has there ever been talk, just curious about doing a reboot with ER?
Well,
I think I've stumbled onto something.
Yeah, this has not been talked about, but that's kind of the road we had started down. In 2020, I was getting all this mail from first responders, and I had this desire to pivot the compliments to John Wells. So I emailed him and I said, "Hey, I'm getting all this lovely sort of mail from people that are thanking us for keeping them entertained or inspire them to go into the careers that they're in the first place. And I just have to say thank you. That except for my children, this is probably the best thing I've ever done with my life, and I just want to say thanks. And then I went on, and I said, I know you don't want to reboot the show. I don't either. I thought it was very smart not to franchise it and to dilute what we did. But if you ever wanted to do something much smaller and much sort of more contained, more of a character piece, kind of catching up to an old character and just finding out how they feel about what's happening right now in healthcare, kind of use them as a Jeremiah opportunity to say what you want, I would vote for that. I would be on board for that. And he thought about it, and we talked about it, and then we ended up bringing in a couple of the old ER writers, Scott Gemmell and David Zabel. We talked about it. And we came up with a concept, and it really never got out of the starting gate. We had some issues with the Crichton estate, and the negotiations became a non-starter. So in a lot of ways, it was a dodge bullet and a blessing, because that would have been the focus. It would have been on, hey, it's the brand again, and who's coming back to play, and oh my God, he looks great, and oh my, and I really want the focus to be on the content of what we're trying to put across. And so I think this will be a pure delivery system in a lot of ways than it would have been if we'd done the reboot, but we came close.
Your mother was a nurse, right? Orthopedic nurse?
Yes. 10 years OR, 10 years orthopedics.
Did she ever give you any advice about your work?
Advice?
Or how to approach something?
Advice, criticism, it's a fine line sometimes, isn't it? No, she would call at 11:01 and say, "You never touch your face with bloody gloves. What, do you want to get AIDS? I've got to go to the hospital tomorrow and answer for that." And I'd say, okay, point taken.
That's cool. At least she had an interest.
She had
a vested interest.
Yeah, vested interest. She was, because she would know what was coming up on the storyline, so she was very in the know. Yeah.
Is it true that you once had to give a dog mouth to mouth?
Only because Mr. Spielberg demanded it be done. He took an interest in our show in the first season. He was executive producer and shared an anecdote about how when he was a teenager, he worked in an emergency room in Phoenix and had seen some physicians stop what they were doing and give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a German Shepherd and save its life. Thought it would be fun to do on the show, and I drew the short straw, and that was that. Sucking on snout for a couple hours.
Well, interesting. But I suppose when Spielberg says, do
Jump.
it.
How high?
We'll be right back. Groundbreaking actress Julia Duffy. Has aging in Hollywood affected you?
Oh, not at all, Steve. It's been fine. Yes, it's very awkward because, oh my God. Well, I'll tell you something that drives me up a wall because it's symbolic of all of it. I have read for and actually played the role of a woman who's older that they have named Myrna, that takes place present day. Now, I know what people were named who are my age now. We were Patty and Kathy and Susie. That's these women that they write in older roles could have been at Woodstock. If you're having them be 70 today in 2024, you have to write the person and not the type. And it is very disappointing to me how much even younger writers seem to be writing Aunt B or something when they write an older person and not an individual. And I hope they're listening, and I know you have the talent to do it. Make that a real person.
Actor Jolie Fisher. One of the things I'd like to ask you about Ellen, you were working on Ellen when all the stuff came out about her being gay. Do you remember what that was like at that time? About all the uproar, and she was on, what was it, Time magazine, the cover of Time, and...
Yeah, I often say, it was so great of Ellen to be the star of my show. I had the time of my life. I was on a magic carpet ride, and And people were coming up and saying, you know, oh my God, the show's so great. You're my favorite. And I was, okay, whatever. And when you and Ellen were on the fence at the spa, oh my God, you know, like they would actually recite lines from the show and talk about the bestie, Paige Clark. And we went to do the talk show on the 20-year anniversary of the coming out. I think it was 20 years. And it was Laura Dern who played, you know, the object of her affection in the coming out episodes. Oprah, who played her shrink.
Right.
And then the cast. And we talked about what an impact it had on so many lives around the world. I mean, it was, you know, it was the first time someone came out for a female lead in a television show. It was so important. You know, we all knew that Ellen was gay. They tried to write it so that it was, you know, palatable for the world to watch this female comedian and, you know, and her dating life and whatever. And then they kept talking about it. Like, is she going to come out on the show? You know, like, is it going to happen? And she went to a meeting. I remember very, very distinctly. And she went to a meeting and she came back and her face was red. And I knew that she had been emotional. And she's like, we're going to do it. And she said she felt like she was a bird let out of a cage. And I could see it in her gait and in her everything, in her essence. And I knew that it was going to be something that was important. I knew it was going to be important. It had to be funny. It's a sitcom, you know? And we started to, she went to a meeting, and I think it was Mike Ovitz and Michael Eisner were the heads of Disney at the time, me and Mo. And they were like, can't she just get a puppy? Can't she just get a puppy? So the coming out episode became the puppy episode. So we would joke all along the whole season. Here's where Ellen's going to get the puppy. I loved the way that my character was written because she represented a lot of people. Like, it's not just, everybody's not going to go, great, you're gay, I'm awesome, I'm going to accept that. My character was like, I'm going to have to like kind of live with this for a beat because you're my best friend. And I feel like maybe it's been a lie all this time. So I got to represent people in the country that were like, oh, let me just see how I feel about this. And then the next season got soapboxy and unfunny. I felt it sort of became something that, America didn't want to see. But personally, I did see, and I had forgotten when we went on the talk show, I had forgotten the bomb threats and the dog sweeping the studio every tape night, where we would all clear the stage and they would make sure that someone wasn't going to bomb us. And it was very, very dark. And I think that Ellen, I remember being at her house, and she was involved with Anne Heche still at the time. And there was press outside the door. And I was like calling Chris, and I was like, I think I'm going to stay over because it seems a little dangerous over here. And she was hysterical, and my career's over. And then we all know what happened. It wasn't really over.
No, it wasn't. Got even bigger.
Yeah.
As a longtime entertainment reporter, I'm accustomed to asking the questions. The rule has been, if you're holding the microphone, your job is to find out about the person you're aiming the mic at. Well, today's a little different. I was asked to leave Hollywood 20 years ago. Let's just say it wasn't my choice. Then again, to say that my life has been a struggle after leaving the red carpets and anchor chair would be overstating things a little. I knew the job was dangerous when I took it. This is Still Here Hollywood, and today I'll tell a story that I've never told fully. In recovery, you learn you're only as sick as your secrets. So with that in mind, I'm leaving the questioning to friend of the show, actor Amy Yasbeck. Hello, Amy. It's so nice of you to do this.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Yeah, I don't know how well I'm going to get through this.
You know what?
We'll see. I was practicing answers all night laying in bed.
Without knowing the questions?
Without knowing the questions.
I'm going to go with my third choice on all the questions now. You're
Okay.
screwed, buddy. I have a question for you.
Yes.
You were there, you were a part of everyone's everything. I knew you, your name, Kmetko. I like it. It's got the comedy like Yasbeck. And then you were gone. I mean, you weren't gone, but you were gone out of the scene, whatever the
Right.
scene is.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, oh, he must have hit it big somewhere. Won the lottery, married a very rich, handsome guy. He's gone. But I know there's more to the story than that, and that isn't the story at all.
Oh, no.
Would you say you were
Booted? Yes.
shown the door,
Yes.
called on the carpet, given your pink slip? Oh, your pink slip is showing.
Yes.
Okay.
My pink slip was showing.
Yeah. How
Yes.
did that, I mean,
You know what? When I was at E and they were renegotiating my contract,
yeah. What year is this?
please, rude.
Come on.
What
If
year
I
was
remember it, it's not so rude.
2002.
Got it.
They were renegotiating my contract, and so I there was a kid who used to follow me and liked my work, and
Right.
he created a website for me.
Okay.
So
Like
I
a
would
like a fan website?
Yes,
or-
yes,
okay,
it was
okay.
very well
A
done.
fan site?
Yes.
Okay. The words
And-
are all different now.
They
same
are.
Idea. Yeah.
And so I would post things on there from time to time. You know, I
Right.
could respond to viewers' questions, and
Right.
so when they were renegotiating my contract, and believe me, at the time I told everybody I had the best job there was. I really loved that job.
I know, and it showed, and that's why we loved you.
Oh well, thank you. But I put on there to the viewers out there, if you like my work and want to see me continue, I'd appreciate you writing to management and just saying, you know, we like Steve. Management did not like that at all.
So you put that on the website.
Right.
Oh, so it wasn't that. Okay.
And I was asked point blank if I had done that on one of the company computers. And I couldn't, you know, it was in such a confrontational manner that I couldn't remember offhand immediately where I typed that up. But I didn't, you know, I didn't
You
know
mean
I was.
if you had written that on a company computer on your personal website? Okay. Go on. I feel like I'm going to be your lawyer here in a second.
So
continue.
So they went to the IT department and learned that I indeed had written that on a computer at work, and they felt that was a violation of something. And so
Of what? Did you ever hear exactly what the violation was?
intellectual property.
Oh, IP got in there.
Yeah, I was their property. And,
And
so
you weren't intellectual.
No, not
So
at all.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, I said I didn't. They found out I did.
Yeah.
And they said they couldn't have a newsman, E! Entertainment Television, a newsman.
A newsman, a journalist.
Yes. They couldn't have me lying like that.
Wait a minute. Were they waiting to take you down?
Yes, I think so.
Because you were, here's a question. You said they were negotiating. So you were negotiating with them.
My
Were you-
agent was, yeah, my manager.
Was he asking for money that you were
He
owed,
asked.
or
He was
more?
quite frankly, he was asking for more money than I thought I deserved. He was asking for $1 million a year. He
Which
said,
is what people get.
well, now, but back in 2002, I'm not certain they did, and I'm not certain any of them were really worth it. It's gotten out of hand.
So you think that played into it?
Oh,
They
I
were
know
like
it played
looking
into
for
it.
something like, oh my God.
One way or another, I felt
That's-
they were looking to get rid of me. I called my agent, and he said to me, Steve, what you need to do is go upstairs and throw yourself on the mercy of the court and say, you know, you made a mistake. You should have told them, you know, right off the top. And I did that. And this person said to me, I knew you had integrity. I knew you'd come around. And then I got a call. I remember I got a call in the car on my way home from my agent saying, they're still firing you. Oh? You mean I didn't have to throw myself on the mercy of the court? So it was one of those things. From the iconic film Back to the Future, actor and director Leah Thompson. Did you hit it off with Michael J. Fox right away?
Probably not, because I was friends with Eric Stoltz, who had just gotten fired. I had already done a movie called The Wildlife with him, and so he was a friend of mine. And then I did Some Kind of Wonderful after. So I was and I remember specifically being really snooty because there was a big division between movie stars and TV stars at that point.
Still?
It's not as much, that's for sure. I mean, you see that Brad Pitt and George Clooney movie coming out, and it's really on TV. They say streaming, it's TV. So it's not the same as it was then. So I remember being like, he's just a TV star, and I'm a movie star. I was in Jaws 3D. So I think it took me a while to warm up to him, but he was so funny and so fun to act with. Because I had done some scenes with Eric already and then had to redo them with Michael. So I could see how they were completely different scenes.
Another thing I'd like to ask you about, you probably don't get a lot of questions about, and I hope you're not sensitive. Howard the Duck.
I get tons of questions about Howard the Duck
do you?
all the time. You know, it's actually a really interesting thing. I was filling out a form for a press release for a feature that I'm going to do, and they wanted like Leah Thompson, block, whatever. So I had to put in Back to the Future, and I was like, oh my God, it's 40 years ago, and I've been working constantly since then. I've never stopped working, but it's the thing I'm known for. And then the second would be Howard the Duck, and then maybe the third, Some Kind of Wonderful, then maybe the fourth, Caroline in the City. There's a star right across the street here.
Oh, really?
It says Leah Thompson, Caroline in the City.
Maybe we should have done the interview there.
Right there over my star.
Hollywood legend Eric Roberts. What about The Dark Knight? Did you enjoy that film?
Are you kidding? Of course. It was, well, let me tell you. We shot all the Chicago stuff in Chicago.
Which is where I live.
Yeah, okay. I love that town. Great deep dish pizza. Then they were supposed to shoot at Pinewood, but that was a lie. We weren't going to Pinewood ever. We were going 30 miles north of London to the old Zeppelin hangar, which when you walk into it, if you're a movie geek, which I am, you walk into it, it's all Gotham City. Takes your breath away, and you want to cry. You're so happy to be there. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And it was just fun to be associated with that movie. And he's a real director, and he knows what he wants, and he tells you what he wants, and he gave me my favorite direction I ever got. I'm like doing a scene, and it's with a girl. It's in a bar, and I'm being very, bravadic, and blah, 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 blah. And Chris Nolan says, cut, really loud, because he's way away from us. Cut over the speaker, whatever it was. What's going on? Eric Roberts, don't be funny. And I knew exactly what he meant. Don't like you playing on the head. And so but it was just hysterical that God's voice from the speakers told me not to be funny, and I'm not known for being funny at all. So it was a real pleasure for me to be told that.
Tell me about working with Heath Ledger.
What a lovely person he was. I had been told, stay away from Heath. He's into the character. Oh my God, he's gone. It wasn't like that at all. He was perfectly fine. And in fact, I had 5 scenes with Batman. With the Joker. One was with all of us all together. And he's got a 3-page monologue. And he walked in the rehearsal for it. It's a camera rehearsal, and we're all like in our street clothes. We're all hanging out. We all have our scripts. And he walks out there, and he's going through the monologue, blah, 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 and he gets into the monologue, and he's done with the monologue, and he's done. And he turns to us and he goes, how am I doing? He's just so charming, so likable, so sweet, so normal. And all the stuff that I heard about him was not true. And he was a lovely person. He was a real loss.
But like so many of us, he just had some demons. May I ask about Julia at all?
What do you want to know?
I want to know, how is she?
You'll have to ask her.
Oh.
I love my sister, but I can't talk about her. She don't want to talk about it. And also my daughters told me also not to talk about her, but I stumbled and do. I'm not supposed to talk about either of them.
Okay.
But I do.
All right. Sidney Andrews from Melrose Place, actor Laura Leighton. I wanted to ask you about something that I read about a weird fan encounter shortly after you left the show in a hospital.
Doug had surgery on his ankle, and it was a huge deal. He had an ankle fusion, but he was coming out of, he was in his hospital room. They were getting him set up for recovery, and I was in the room, and the nurse came in, and she just sort of like stopped in her tracks, and she was like, what is she doing in here? And she told him that she was afraid I was there to hurt him. Like, she was so confused on reality versus the character that I played, and it was so funny to us. But people really bought it. People really bought me as Sydney, I guess.
Does that that must be kind of, in a way, gratifying? Apart from being funny, it's gratifying.
Yeah. I mean, it is gratifying. It's obviously what I set out to do is be convincing as that character. And I knew that I wasn't actually that character. And so being able to be so different and separate from it, that is something I feel proud of. But it's also something you end up having to fight for in a weird way. Like, I remember also, on the other hand, after Melrose, having like meetings with people who were interested in, you know, a project or whatever. And coming out of that meeting, I would hear from my agents that people were disappointed because I wasn't actually like a wackadoo like Sydney. And they were like, you know, we were expecting Sydney. And it was just like a normal person. And I thought, oh, that's weird. I don't know that I need to go into meetings and like act a certain way. Like, this is who I am. I can play other characters, but some people don't have that imagination, I guess.
Right. And who knows, as a story unfolds, what kind of what the character, what the writers have planned for that character.
Yeah.
You know, if you're auditioning and making it your own from the beginning.
Yeah. And it was weird to hear sort of like that people were disappointed to find out that I was like normal.
Whatever normal is. Do you miss not having something like that to go to every week?
There's something really special about a television show, more than even a film, I think, because it's so, if you're lucky enough to get one that lasts as long as Melrose did, it becomes a family. And so having that place to go every week is something, there's nothing like it. And you miss it when it's gone.
I can't remember off the top of my head how long it ran, but 8 years, 9 years?
It ran for 7.
7.
There was a kind of a turning point after season 5, because that was the original sort of contracts were 5 years at that time. And a number of the cast members left after 5 seasons, including myself. So I did 5. I did up to season 5, and then it ran for 2 more. So it ran for a total of 7.
What were your thoughts the morning after the show ended? Were you relieved, upset, happy, sad?
You know, it was definitely a difficult decision. After 5 years, it was like a natural, everybody should, you know, have the opportunity to renew their contract, you know, renegotiate your contract, and deciding that it was time to move on was a really tough choice. And so I was really, it was a choice I made, but it was difficult. It was difficult to say goodbye to the people and to know that I was closing that chapter. And I remember I was very sad on the last scene, on the last day that I worked. I remember I was like, I can't fall apart. Like, that would be so embarrassing. But I definitely felt sad enough to be fighting tears and thinking, oh, I shouldn't let that out, you know? And so I think it was just like coming to terms with this is the decision I've made, and I feel strongly about this choice at this moment. But it was definitely tough and sad.
What was the most, I hope you don't mind me asking this, but what was the most emotional event in your life? Do you have a hard time showing emotion?
No, I'm a bit, I don't think I have a hard time showing emotion. The most emotional event in my life. I've had a few recently. not sure I should start talking about that. No, I think I'm an emotional person.
I think you kind of have to be to do
Yeah.
what you do for a living.
Yeah.
You have to be able to show it, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, when you were doing the show, you married one of your co-stars. Well, after the show was
After
over.
the show was over.
You married one of your co-stars. And I read one of the things he said, Doug Savant, okay,
Yep.
was the best thing that came out of the show was you.
That was a very lovely thing to say.
It was
wasn't
very nice.
Yeah.
Good husband.
He's a very good husband.
And do you feel the same way?
I absolutely do. I mean, who would have thunk, you know? And we're 26 years of marriage,
Wow.
and we've raised 4 children together, and we're pretty proud of that, and still going. And it truly was the best thing to come out of the show.
Brian Dunkleman.
There was a girl that I got to know, and her father was a carpenter. He had sold his tools to get the money to drive out. They were sleeping in his truck, and she was so excited. And Steve, when she came out of that room, she was her eyes were dead. She couldn't even talk. She was shattered. And I think about that girl a lot, and I just didn't understand why that was necessary. And that's really, people don't, if they didn't watch it, people a lot of say, well, I didn't watch the first season. Like I get that a lot. But it was very, very cruel, that first season. And that's kind of what made the show such a hit, was how mean Simon was. And, you know, he was hated. He got death threats in England. He comes here and everybody loves the guy.
You tried to comfort them.
I did.
When they came out.
I did.
But you were scolded for doing that.
I was. And I'm not here to badmouth anybody, but I can tell you when we were in Chicago, we'd already done LA, we had done Seattle, and they had a chance to review a lot of the footage. And before we started, they sat me and Ryan down, Ryan and I, whatever, I dropped out of college. And they said, you know, Ryan, we need you to can you appear a little bit more sympathetic when these kids come out crying? He's like, got it. So a girl comes out, she's bawling. She runs right up to me. I give her a big hug. That's all, I just hug her. And Ryan comes over and literally rips her out of my arms. Puts his arm around her, puts her in front of the camera. Hey, what happened in there? And I was like, what the hell just happened? And I'm looking at one of the producers, and he's just like, I thought, this is insane. It just got worse and worse as the season progressed. I don't believe that you should set kids up to be humiliated like that. You're putting them in front of camera, and I can hear them on there. Oh, this girl, she thinks she can actually sing. We're going to crush her. She's 16.
And we'll be right back. Actor from Saturday Night Fever and TV's Angie, Donna Pescow. How did Saturday Night Fever change your life?
Oh, I went from leaving pictures and resumes to, getting phone calls saying they want to, set up a meeting with you and Dino De Laurentiis. And I thought, do you have the right number? It was just, it was a leap. It made a career happen, and I was really just blessed because I had no clue that, I knew this was unusual, and I knew that I was really in a world that I didn't quite understand yet. So I was overwhelmed, I think, a lot of the time. And when I look back on it now, I think of it differently because I realized just how spectacular. At the time, I just kept going forward thinking, all right, just get through it and it'll be fine. I was, nervous all the time.
I've had experiences like that.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm dating. Just get through it.
That's it.
You had to do quite a bit in that movie. You ran the gamut of emotions. Mm-hmm. The backseat of a car, a member of your crew, group that you were friendly with in the movie, falls off the bridge and dies. I remember you particularly in that scene because you had to get so emotional that it was very effective.
Thank you.
Do you ever wish you could go back and experience it again?
That's a great question. I was so young and new to it all, and I had such good training. I had graduated from the academy, as I said, and then I worked with Lee Strasberg, and I had wonderful, training, and I was so able to just immerse myself in the work and not think about all the exterior things, whether it'll be successful, what this will do for my career, will it make a lot of money, all of that. None of that was in my thinking because I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't think about that. So I was really so into the scenes and the character and what was going on within the film. I don't know if I could do that again because I know too much now, and I'd worry about other things now. And you get not judgmental in a bad way, but you start to almost start thinking about what it's going to look like before you've even done it. So you're working on two different levels. One is like, what'll be, how should I do this and how will it look on film? And what am I doing with the character? Where Saturday Night Fever, it was just acting. It was just about that, which was, I don't think there's anything better for an actor.
From Flashdance, Michael Nouri. I ask this a lot of, not a lot, but I have asked in the past of women of a certain age, what it was like for them aging in Hollywood and how they handled it. How has it been for you? Because I remember, in Flashdance, you were still 6'2". Maybe at that time you were 6'3".
I was 6'3".
And you had dark hair and a square jaw, and you were, my God, you're the epitome of a leading man. And, as I understand, we get a little grayer, a little shorter.
A little rounder.
How has it been for you?
Does
it affect you?
Sure. Sure, it affects me. After Flashdance, that was the time to strike while the iron was hot. Billy Friedkin got in touch with me and told me he wanted me to be in his new movie with Barbara Hershey. It was called Sea Trial. It was going to be done at 20th Century Fox. And Fox went into turnaround, and that movie was shelved. So the momentum from Flashdance was dissipated. But while I was in Tokyo promoting Flashdance, I got a call from my agent who said that Stephen Bochco was interested in having me be in a series of his called Bay City Blues. And Bay City Blues lasted for 13 episodes. It had an unknown, wonderful actors, including an unknown actor named Sharon Stone. Don't know whatever happened to her. We wish her luck. So my point is that the momentum, the huge momentum that Flashdance created, you want to keep the momentum going. Hopefully, when you have one big hit, you want to follow it up with something else, something equally good or better, just to keep you out there. And that did not happen. So I went from Bay City Blues to a succession of TV shows, independent movies, and so on. But nothing of the magnitude of Flashdance. Now, to answer your question, if I can remember it, it is definitely a psychological and emotional adjustment because the offers don't come in as frequently. Fortunately, as a man, the opportunities are more frequent than they are for women of a certain age. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm now playing where I used to be leading man. I now went through a period of playing dads, now granddads, senators, statesmen, and so on, which I am very grateful for. The phone is still ringing. I have wonderful agents who are keeping me out there.
You've worked pretty much nonstop since the beginning of your career.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very fortunate. I just did an audition for Bradley Cooper's new movie. People say, "You have to audition?" And the answer is yes. Yes, I do. And I'm willing to do that. I have to put my ego aside and just be grateful for what comes my way.
And hopefully your nerves aside. Jill Whelan from The Love Boat. How old were you when the show started, or when you first became a cast member?
I was, I think 11. I think I had just turned 11, or I was about to turn 11 when it started.
Do you have fond memories of it?
I do. I have great fond memories of my cast and our crew, and Aaron Spelling. Not so fond memories of Doug Kramer, however, because Doug was a misogynist, and I've never talked about it, but he's passed now, and his children are passed as well, so I feel safe in saying, but he was not an advocate of women at all.
The late Douglas Kramer was the producer of The Love Boat. He had a reputation of being kind of tough as well.
He was not a good human. He would do things like when we would come, Lauren Twees, who played Julie McCoy, we would come to a wardrobe fitting at a new season to get new uniforms and new evening gowns and new loungewear. And he would call the wardrobe department and tell them to buy everything 1 or 2 sizes smaller than we are, so that we would come in and be embarrassed in fittings and things not fitting. And I remember one time, and at that particular time I was going through puberty, and it's, things happen in puberty. So I had gone to a fat farm, or I guess we would say today a spa. I went to a spa in Ojai, and I had lost some weight, and I was also working with some crazy doctor who had me on 400 calories a day.
Oh no!
Yes, so I came back.
That's too drastic.
It screws with your metabolism and everything. I got the cover of the Inquirer for it, but I came back, and I just learned this information from a dear friend of mine who was his executive assistant. She said we were in dailies one day, and for people who need to know what that is, once you shoot a day of, at least in film, on a set, the next day the editor prepares everything, all the takes and everything that the director has said print to, and the producers and the director and everybody that needs to watches it on a big screen. And there's a scene where I come out of an elevator and the doors open into the purser's lobby, and I'm in an evening gown with a sweetheart neckline, and she said, "You looked great, you looked great." And it was a full shot, full body shot. And Doug said, "No, I don't want that shot. I don't want to see her looking thin. I'm pissed off she was fat in the first place. Neck up only."
Well, thank you very much.
So, to your question, the cast, the crew, I had no problem with anybody. I had an incredible experience, except for the Doug Kramer part, which did require a lot of therapy afterwards.
Amy Yasbeck. I want to ask one thing about Suzanne Summers.
Yes.
You got John and Susan. We lost her not long ago.
Yeah.
You got the two of them kind of back together, didn't you?
So weird.
In season 5 of Three's Company, there was a reported salary dispute between Suzanne Summers and the producers. It led to Summers leaving the series. It was kind of sneaky, wasn't it?
I didn't do it a sneaky way. We were at the premiere of Victor Victoria on Broadway because Blake and Julie had invited John to it, dear friends. And at the intermission, I went to the ladies' room, and all of a sudden, Suzanne is standing next to me. And I'm like, "Hi." I said, "I'm Amy. I'm here with John Ritter." She's like, "Oh, I said, I'll make sure, or after party? She goes, well, I'm singing at the after party. I'm like, awesome. I'll make sure he says hi. And so then I went back to my seat and I said, for those who know, and I said, John, who's the last person you would want to see here? And he went, oh, Bochco's here? Sorry. I don't know. I can't say any more than that. I went, no, Suzanne. And he just like sat down in the seat. He's like, okay. I don't know if he watched the rest of, he watched the rest of the show, but I remember he was like, and I said, it's fine. Just go up. Because they had, and so she sang a song, Can't Dance, Don't Ask Me. And so I think he went up to her. She was talking to somebody and said, Can't Dance, Don't Ask Me. And he like turned around and they hugged it out and stuff, which was great. It was a big thing. And may I say way before my time of like the real stuff that was going on with them. But I think they were great together, and I don't think they ever maybe got each other, like where each other was coming from after that kind of split, because John never felt that it was about a woman being paid, and John was like the most liberal and whatever. It was pretty even. I don't think, and John wasn't able to, he didn't ever want to talk about it.
Not a talker, huh?
Didn't want to, no. He'd talk about it to me, but he didn't want to refute anything that Suzanne was saying or get into any kind of a weird thing. He just loved her, and for a while from afar. So that, it was tricky, and it was sad when she passed. It was sad when John passed away, because that's then 20 years lost for like a friendship or any kind of furthering of a reunion. But she was great. She was a great, super strong woman and did a lot, in also her own being a health advocate, right? So I thought she was cool. And I met her a couple other times too. It was perfectly nice.
George Wendt, Norm from Cheers. Say, your nephew is Jason Sudeikis.
Indeed he is.
Did you have any advice for him when he got into the business?
It's funny because he gets asked that a lot.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, and I saw, I forget, it was Letterman or Conan or somebody said, did your Uncle George have any advice for you? And Jason goes, he's so sharp. He goes, yeah, he told me just get on the best show on television and one of the greatest shows of all time and just pretty much take it from there. And he goes, so I did. And he got on SNL.
And Ted Lasso has secured him. Very, if he wasn't before, he's now a fixture on TV.
Yep, well deserved.
Well, I think so too.
Oh, he's such a great kid. Yeah, kid, he's 45 or something, I don't know.
That's a kid.
Yeah, my godson. I'm very proud. Proud, especially, not only the success, but he's so. Have you read profiles and stuff? I mean, he's such a mensch, so smart, so thoughtful. I mean, it all comes out in the show, right?
Right. Jan from The Office, Melora Hardin. You were on Little House of the Prairie.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What you remember from that experience.
Well, I remember quite a few things because I auditioned with Matthew Laborteaux when we were 9 to play young Caroline and young Michael Landon's character, Charles. And Charles and Carolyn had to be dancing together. And Matthew said he had already been cast, and he said that he wanted me to play the part because I didn't step on his feet and all the other girls did. And I was a dancer, so I was very, if you'd asked me as a child what I was going to do when I grew up, I would have told you I was going to be a ballerina and that acting was my hobby. So when I got to do that, I didn't end up getting that part, but Matthew and then I got cast, I guess it was in Nellie's, the new Nellie, when the new Nellie was introduced, and it was when I was 13 first. And then my character was Belinda, and she got locked in the ice house by the new Nellie, who was just as mean as the old Nellie. And then I got cast when Matthew's character was leaving the show because he died of leukemia, and I played his love interest. And actually, Matthew and I had our first screen kiss together, and he's still a very good friend of mine and the godfather of my second daughter, and so he's still in my life. So so Little House, and we didn't let our kids watch much TV at all. We really hand selected what they could watch, and our youngest daughter Piper, who is Matthew's goddaughter, she just got obsessed with Little House on the Prairie and watched all of them over and over and over again. And so it was a great, really fun experience. And I think maybe also my first time working with someone like Michael Landon, who really had that community feeling, which I also got a real feeling of from Clint Eastwood when I did Absolute Power. He's similar. He has that crew that follows him from movie to movie, and he also works very much like in the same way that Michael Landon works with TV pace, fast. So does Clint, even though he's making movies. He works fast like that.
He knows what he wants.
He's very decisive.
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about Michael Landon. What was it like working with him?
Oh, he was just so warm. He was so sweet. He just really made all the kids and adults, I just think it made everybody feel very like he had really chosen you. And he just let you do your thing. And when he ever gave you direction, it was always you never felt admonished by him. He just was lovely.
He knew how to talk to you.
Yeah, he did. He knew how to talk to kids.
Must have had something to do with all those years on Bonanza, I would guess.
Yeah. All the years being the actor on a TV show, long-running TV show, which, I think Clint has that too. He has that similar. There is something about being a long-time TV actor, especially in the times when TV was TV and films were films, and it was really actually quite separate. And yeah, there was just something about that work ethic, I think.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerle. Theme music by Brian Sanashin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.